rumors and speculation about Final Fantasy XVI simply won't go away. If you've watched my previous video, we recently talked about how Final Fantasy XIV director and producer Naoki Yoshida has claimed that he's not directing Final Fantasy XVI, despite the fact that his business division is reportedly working on a new AAA game for the next generation. And while he may be telling the truth that he's not the one directing Final Fantasy XVI, the rumors have intensified even more, with Square Enix hiring a battle director who's worked on Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma, and he's supposed to work for Yoshida's business division. But of course, he's not working on Final Fantasy XIV, but a brand new title at Square. I wonder what it is. And being developed by Yoshida's business division. In an interview translated by Twitter user @ItaiKimochi, big thank you as always to Audrey for her translation work, we now know some of the details surrounding his hire, with the interviewer asking, quote, "Can you tell us a bit about what your job entails, as well as the environment of your current work?" Suzuki saying, quote, "I am currently the battle director of a new AAA title here at Square Enix since I joined in 2019, where I work in planning all the way up until quality check. Since the project is a AAA title, the level of technique required for this is very high, and there are many designers who have the great motivation to create works of the utmost quality. We work well together, and I seldom have to give up on an idea and not make it a reality. What I've experienced from switching jobs to work at Square Enix is that the game system engineers, technical artists, and visual effects artists are highly skilled here." The interview then continues with him being asked, Square Enix is known for making RPGs, but not exactly recognized for making action games. Why is it necessary now for them to hire those with action game backgrounds? Suzuki replied, quote, "Indeed, when you think of Square Enix titles like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, both of which are RPG games, strike a chord. In the past, as this space was limited in order to create a story, the battle system was left to simple commands such as fight and escape. However, times have changed and technology has greatly improved, so even if the game is an RPG, having action battle elements within the game has become the new norm. In lieu of that, it's become necessary to create an in-house system where action elements are applied to RPG games. Because of that, we need those with action game backgrounds who are passionate to help us realize this." Most notably, Yoshida's business division has worked on both Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest titles in the past, so it's not surprising that he would use those two games as examples. He also mentions that he is the battle director working on that new AAA title, and even though this is happening within Yoshida's business division, it's entirely possible that Yoshida is telling the truth and he's not the one directing the game, even though it's taking place within his division. And all we know is that this is a new AAA title, so it's entirely possible that maybe it's a new IP, but if it was a new IP, I feel like they would just say, particularly in the job interview where they try to hide whatever project that they're working on, especially if it's a well-known game that's not yet announced, I feel like they would be more explicit in saying that it's a new IP. After all, that's an easy way to kill any rumors about what the project might be. But instead of doing that, they've just decided to call it a new AAA title. And of course, we know that this title is coming for the next generation of hardware. I would say that the likelihood that this game is Final Fantasy XVI is pretty high. Also, when you consider that Yoshinori Kitase, producer of the Final Fantasy series, has said there is no plans to move back to turn-based combat, and instead they will be moving forward with action combat for the Final Fantasy series from here on out, it just seems to make sense to me that they would hire someone with experience like this to make a very good action battle system. I think other than Kingdom Hearts 2 and Final Fantasy VII Remake, Square's sort of had hit and miss track record with Final Fantasy games having action combat systems. And in fact, for Final Fantasy VII Remake, they hired one of the guys who worked on Monster Hunter World. They're just stealing all the good Capcom people away. But it's good that since they're trying so hard to make these action RPGs, that they're hiring people who actually know how to make good action games. This honestly can only improve quality going forward, and I'm excited for it. But with that said, Ultima, I want to hear from you. With this new detail, what do you think this new project is going to be? Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. And if you've been enjoying my content, please be sure to check out the Patreon for the Night Sky by Prince, where I'm supported by some incredible people like Dean Justice II. So if this channel means as much to you as it does to Dean, consider clicking the link in the description below. Shout out to Dean and the rest of the Ultima community.